Okay, let's do an update. I have gotten Oblivion remastered to where it will not function anymore. So I get to start all over again, which is a shame. I'm sure Bethesda Softworks is responsible for this. What do I mean by this? By the way, I am your poorly aging, sarcastic PC witty gamer. And I was doing a podcast about the truth. Some companies cannot handle the truth. Bethesda Softworks is one of them. I was showing evidence that the Emperor, his death, was part of a conspiracy. Boris involved in it. I gave the evidence, I showed it, I uploaded it to YouTube, and suddenly, what a coinky-dink, my Oblivion remastered does not run anymore. Now, I have gone the nuclear option this time. Usually the nuclear option is I just start a new character and things are fine and I play it until things are not fine anymore. Instead, this time, that didn't fix it, by the way. I would start a new game, it wouldn't get to the character creation place there in the prison at all. So the game was completely unplayable. All I could see for all the money I paid for it was just that intro video. I was born 87 years ago. All of that, which, by the way, is also a conspiracy because it's not necessary to the game. The game is a lot better when you don't have that intro. That intro tells you too much. And what's interesting is if you play it without the intro, you learn all this stuff anyway. So, for instance, he says, "For 65 years, I have ruled Tamriel as its emperor." Well, actually, if you just play the game without the intro video, when he shows up in your prison cell, why are you saying, "Who are you?" It's as if you've never seen the intro video. And he's going to explain who he is. It's beautiful. Don't get me wrong, that video, it's gorgeous. I like hearing his voiceover and all of that, and you see into a gate of oblivion. It's gorgeous. And you see something of the Imperial City, although there are screen tears. You see some of the landscape and things like that. It makes you want to play the game. I get it. But the game actually plays better without it. You learn things the way you might expect somebody to learn them organically, immersively in the game. As you just observe things and talk to people and all of that. So again, we find out that this man is the emperor because he tells you, "I am your emperor." And this is true of every Bethesda game I can think of. they have those iconic videos at the beginning of the Fallout games. War, war never changes. And especially with Fallout New Vegas, think about it. It tells you about Caesar's Legion. It tells you about the NCR and all of that at the beginning. It tells you all this stuff, knowing that you could just learn it in a more interesting way, a more interactive way, by the way. Because we're just sitting back and watching the videos when the intro video of a Bethesda game comes up. We're just sitting back watching it. But all that information takes away from the mystery of it, takes away from the exploring, the finding out, and all of that. So they're iconic, they're beautiful, they're some of the best things in the game, and they're a wonderful way to start the game, and they're completely unnecessary and actually take away from the overall enjoyment of the game. So in Oblivion Remastered, for instance, you wake up in a jail cell. If we're to start there without any background information, I think it's a lot more interesting. So you wake up in a jail cell, you're thinking, why am I in jail? Who am I? And all of that. And while you're asking, who am I? You get to create your character. So you get to decide who you are. There's 10 different species and 2 genders. So there's 20 options right there in the jail cell before the Emperor and the Blades even show up. You're creating who you are because you're asking, who am I? Why am I here? Are you a villain and you were put in prison because of all the evil you have done? Are you innocent and awaiting trial? The guy across the way says you're going to die in prison. By the way, doesn't Anvil just look great in this game? You get to choose all that for yourself. Your background. Again, first your race, your gender, all of that. And then you have it in your head what your background is. You learn about the world as you explore the world, as you talk to people, and they talk to you. This is, in my opinion, the way to do it. The Elder Scrolls Online gives you a big cinematic, I'll get the word right someday, a big cinematic opening. It's beautiful. It makes you want to play and all of that, but it gives you too much information. Again, it starts in a prison cell. And if you don't know any background, you're going to say, am I a hero? Am I a villain? Why am I in this cell? Then you go out, you meet Lyris Titanborn. You meet Hanavi. Hanavi, for people who don't know, is Hebrew for the prophet. He gives you his take on it. And it doesn't have to be canon. That's the beauty of role-playing games. We know this is what the prophet is saying about the world and your situation. And you can decide to believe it or not believe it. But when it's presented the other way, look at that water, by the way. Isn't that beautiful? Gorgeous. But you notice there's no wind. You've got grass that never moves around. You've got leaves on the trees. They're static. They're beautiful, beautiful trees. This remaster is really, really something special. And if you've played the 2006 release of the Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion, this is such a breath of fresh air. The new visuals, the new gameplay elements, all of that. I was playing the Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion for 19 years. I was literally playing it for over 7,000 hours. And that's just logged in Steam, just so you know. I also had it on the Xbox. So I had it on the PC, and that logs it in Steam. And I also, from the beginning, had it on Xbox 360, which doesn't log your play in Steam. And I didn't play hundreds and hundreds of hours of it or anything like that on the Xbox 360, because for me, I can't do a first-person RPG competently using a controller. What I mean by that is you're walking around, somebody sneaks up on you, hits you in the back of the head. By the time I can get my controller facing them to engage in any kind of combat, they've already killed me. For me, these games were not made to be used with a controller. And I feel bad for people who have a console who don't have the mouse and keyboard to do it. Now, I should tell you, I have a specialized keyboard. It's a Stealth Merc. I'm trying to remember what they call it. These keyboards sell for $2,800 used on Amazon. And when somebody has one, and they sell it like on eBay or something, the bids just get insane, even though the keyboard is not in perfect condition. I haven't seen one, by the way, since the aughts, since about 2006. I haven't seen one that was brand new. So I don't know what that would go for. If somebody had a brand new, never used Stealth Merc Steel Series keyboard, I don't even know what it would go for. So my first one lasted decades. It lasted from about 2006. And back then it sold for something like $59, I believe, which was outrageous because there were keyboards. You could get your standard keyboard for $9-10. And so the idea is, why would anybody want a Merc Stealth Steel Series keyboard? Well, it has the WASD keys over to the left. So you're using your mouse button with the right hand, if you're right-handed. I don't think these keyboards would work very well if you were left-handed. I could be wrong. I've never tried it because I'm not left-handed. But you got the WASD keys and the number keys over to the left of your regular keyboard. Now you have the regular keyboard and you have the backlit keys. You've got a port for your headphones. You've got a port for your microphone right there next to two USB ports that are on the back of this stealth keyboard. And they make SteelSeries keyboards today, but it's nothing like the Merc, SteelSeries stealth keyboard that they used to make. I know somebody, I built a computer with him. He was a teenager at the time. He got one of these keyboards. By then they were like $79. He got mad at a game or something like that and he busted the keyboard in half. There's almost no way to replace it. If you have almost unlimited funds, obviously you can buy the $2,800 one from Amazon. Or you can go to eBay and get in an auction for it, which they're pretty contentious. So my first one, I believe I got in about 2006. And I used it until I think about 2022. I wrote novels on it. I played far too many games, far too long. Like in the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, I have something like 13,767 hours logged in it. Again, just in Steam. So all of these Bethesda games, when they became available on GOG, Good Old Games, I bought them again. The GOG versions don't require the internet. They don't have any copy protection in them. And so you can play them while you don't have an internet connection or anything like that, which makes it nice. So when I say I had 7,000 hours in the Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion, that's just the most common way I played, which was with Steam. Now, in this game, what I was exposing, you will see this because I'm going to start a new series as soon as I get this game working again. You will see that when you're accompanying the Emperor, well, the Blades are supposed to be guarding him. They've told you they're the Emperor's bodyguards and all of that. You will see that Boris does things so that he ends up as the only Blade that is there when you get to a certain point. And then you come into this room, and to the right is a gate, and he's upset. He yells about it being locked, and he says, we're going to have to try another way. Then he takes him into this side room, where conveniently assassins take out any blade that is left. So now, I say blade, by the way. I do this sort of to be silly and stuff like that when I'm doing my Let's Plays. I do this with everything, by the way. I live in Arizona, and so I don't call Indiana Jones Indiana Jones. I call him Arizona Jones. It's a way just for me to be sillier, to remind myself and my audience that we're talking about games here. We're talking about having fun, entertainment. I mean, happiness is a serious business. So, anyway, after all the other Blades are dead, Boris stays in the main chamber, so he's not next to the Emperor at all. Remember, his whole job is keeping the Emperor alive. The Emperor's been telling you that he's going to die tonight and all of that. And the Blades are saying, no, they're going to keep the Emperor alive. And then Boris goes into this other section where the Emperor is not. And guess what? The Emperor gets killed. I don't think after 20 years this is such a big spoiler. And if it is, I'm sorry. I don't think anybody is watching my series that doesn't know the plots of the games that wants to play them. I think my audience is basically the people who have played these games, people who are thinking of buying them, and perhaps caregivers and parents of people who are asking for a game. And I take that very seriously. Because let's say Johnny, asks his parents for specifically Oblivion, for instance. I want those parents to be able to come to my channel, if they can find it, and see what Oblivion really plays like. Because families have standards. Maybe they don't want to have anything in their house that has profanity in it. And because I present the videos basically unedited, they'll know whether Oblivion has profanity in it, and if so, what sort of profanity. Maybe they don't want games with blood in them, for instance. So if I'm playing a game on my channel that has blood in it, I'm going to show you the blood so that people can make decisions based on reality. Some people don't believe in violent video games, so I show the violence in the video games. What kind of violence is it? Are the games just based on the more kills you make, the more you level up? Or does the nature of the questing in the game justify the violence? That's for people to decide before they buy. But I think most people who are going to watch these videos are people who have played the game before. And they want to see a different way of playing it. They just want to see how I play it. Or hopefully they're attracted to my winning personality, my stellar sarcasm, and award-winning humor. Some are thinking of buying it. Some played it back in 2006, and they haven't thought about it nearly as much as I have since then. And maybe they see this and they go, yeah, I want to play that again. So the Emperor is dead. What happens next is astounding. Boris gives you a key. And then you tell him what your class is. So in that first cell where you are, where the guy across the way tells you that you're going to die in there, you set up the race that you're going to play as and your gender. Later on in that first dungeon, which is the Imperial City Prison, the Emperor asks you what star signs marked your birth. And then you choose the sign that you were born under. And then this is the third part of the development of your character. You choose a class. Are you a melee kind of guy? Are you a magic user? What I would call a mage? Are you good guy, bad guy, whatever. You choose all of that, and then you take the key, and you use that key a few minutes later to enter the sewers. And the sewers helps you learn how to fight and things like that a little further before you exit the tutorial and go into the world. Now, the door to the sewers is on your left. If you go to the right, there's that gate again. The one that was locked. If the Emperor had gotten through this gate safely, he would not have been assassinated. And remember, Boris told you that the gate was locked and they had to go to that other place where the Emperor eventually gets murdered. If before you enter the sewers, you go right instead of left, you can unlock the gate. That's right. So Boris says, the gate is locked. We're going to have to go another way. And he doesn't tell you he's got the key to that gate. They don't have to go another way. If he was really trying to keep the Emperor safe, he would unlock that gate. The Emperor would be on the other side of that gate, completely in safety, not die. Boris, as the only surviving member of your party that is a Blade, would have done his job and saved the Emperor's life. The fact that he had the ability to do this and didn't do this means he's implicit in the death of the Emperor. And there must be some reason why he wanted the Emperor dead. Is it personal? Is it political? Does he have ambitions of running the empire? That's for you to decide. The game tells us that the Elder Council rules whenever there isn't an emperor. Was Boris planning on taking over the Elder Council and ruling as emperor? I don't know. This changes what your role is in the game, and that's why we're having this conversation. What I mean is, it's unlikely that Boris expected to find me in a prison cell when he's escorting the Emperor. This escort that will lead to the Emperor's death. So now I'm the wild card. The escape, they're planning on, they say that they're going to take the Emperor outside the city. And this is a special escape route outside the city. And by chance, it just so happens to go through my prison cell. Now, if Boris is surprised by the fact that I'm there, he's got a problem now. I'm a live witness to his chicanery. And this explains why, once I exit the sewers, I'm put in all sorts of situations that put me in danger of dying. Boris wants me dead. So when I joined the Mages Guild down in Anvil, they immediately send me on a mission where I'm likely to be killed by a rogue mage. I'm immediately put in all of this danger to eliminate me as a witness to what Boris has done. When that doesn't work, I get invited to join the Blood Ace. I can choose to do that and infiltrate them and learn their inner workings and level up with them. Boris acts all innocent. But again, he had that key that would have saved the Emperor's life. And he doesn't use it. And he knows he has the key. We know he knows he has the key because he hands it to us. So he's only pretending to be your friend. He needs you dead. And throughout the game, he is sending people to deaden you. Also known as killing you fatally. This is the great conspiracy of the Elder Scrolls IV. Oblivion. And it carries over into the Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion Remastered, which is a terrific game, by the way. There was also a lesser conspiracy. Many of these games are based on the idea that you're the special one. People tell you all the time, only you can do this particular quest. By Skyrim, it's even, you're the Dragonborn. The idea being that the quests they give you can only be done by the Dragonborn. I have an alternate theory. You're not special. I'm not special. Not in any of these games. Here's what I think happens in Skyrim. About quest giving, specifically. you'll notice a lot of these quest givers are in taverns and all that. These are people too lazy to do their jobs. So they're just getting drunk. And, drunk guys will challenge each other to stupid things, betting and all of that. So here's what I think happens before you get to Riverwood. One guy says to another one, okay, I'll bet you 15 septims. I can get the next guy who comes in here to do all my chores. The other guy laughs at him and says, all your chores? Are you crazy? You got a lot of chores and you're sitting here drinking instead. You're on. So then you walk in innocently into is it the Giant's Inn? Sleeping Giant Inn, I think it's called. You don't know this background. And so the guy tells you how special he is. He butters you up and he gives you quests and you do them. We always do the quests we're given in these games. We don't question it ever. Have you ever thought about some of these quests? A little boy will come up to you and say, the bandit stole my cap. Then they tell you exactly where the cap is. The cave of dark orphan tears. It's never a pleasant place. They never say, go to Green Valley and meet with the nymphs and the fairies and spread some love and peace around and ask for my hat back. No, it's always, they know exactly where, they know who took the cap, where it is, which is at the bottom of a deep, dark, damp dungeon. You get there. And obviously there's people defending this cap. So you got to kill like 35 people for a cap, a little woolen cap. Now, one of the things they will do to manipulate you is they'll go with the PFH. And the PFH is, it's my precious family heirloom. So now you're really manipulated into going and getting it. And you don't stop and say to yourself, self, why is he giving this job to a total stranger? There's the city watch all around. There's armed law enforcers. He doesn't go to them. He goes to an absolute stranger. Will you please retrieve my precious family heirloom? So now you've killed 35 human beings to get the PFH, the precious family heirloom. Why does the kid think you're going to come back with it? He's told you it's precious. You're a stranger. You may have murdered 5 or 6 people on the way from Helgen to Riverwood. And by the way, this fits for any of these games. It doesn't have to be Skyrim. He doesn't know anything about you. How come you're not holding on to the precious family heirloom? What makes him think you're going to bring it back to him, especially when you find out it's worth 1 septim? That's right. When you put something in your inventory, the inventory tells you exactly how much it's worth. You don't know this kid. You have no obligation to this kid. He didn't pay you in advance or anything like that. How come you're not pawning or selling the PFH? This makes no sense unless the purpose of quests is that lazy people just want to get you to do stuff. Look, I wish there was a bigger conspiracy, one we could really sink our teeth into and all of that, but the truth of the matter is, you're not special. They just told you you were so that they could get you to do their chores. You're not the Dragonborn. You weren't born on a special star to do a particular thing. In Oblivion, Arena, Daggerfall, Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, Skyrim, The Elder Scrolls Online, any of these things, you're more convenient than these lazy bums getting off their fat keisters in doing what their wives expect of them. So they give you all their chores and you do them. Why? Because you are an adventurer. You invest the idea of adventure into it and you think you're going to level up because of it. And they know this, so they're exploiting you. The two, and by the way, that's the only way any of this works as reality. Let me explain. In real life, people have different agendas. They tell you the truth, they tell you lies. Have you ever noticed in media, no, almost nobody ever lies? But lying is a universal human behavior. By the way, I'm not trying to justify it or anything. I'm just saying lying is something we as humans do, but you'll notice in movies, the villain almost never lies to you, which would set you in the wrong direction. But if I'm a villain, I want to lie to you. I want to put you off the wrong, I want to put you on the wrong track so that I don't have to answer for my crimes. And in these games, everybody tells you their background, they tell you their motivations and everything. And almost never are they lying, even if they're the most despicable people whatsoever. One exception to this rule I can think of is there's a character just outside of Good Springs in Fallout New Vegas who asks you to go up a hill and rescue his girlfriend. You get up there and you find out she's not there. And you're attacked by all sorts of beasties and critters and all of that. And if you survive it, he shows up and he tells you there is no girlfriend, that he just wanted you to clear out all the nasty beasts that would have killed him if he went up there. Because there's a treasure on the top of the hill, of course. This is the only time I can think of, and there must be more, but the point is it's not common. This is the only time I can think of where a character in a Bethesda game, and of course this was created by Obsidian, uh, Fallout New Vegas was, but Bethesda commissioned it. This is the only time I can just bring to mind real easily. when a character lies to you to get you to do something. But you should realize something. It's the tip of the iceberg. Every NPC is lying to you every time so that they don't have to do whatever the job is. I think of the siege of Kavach. You go up the hill. Salvian Mattias is there. He's this commander of a military force. And he tells you about the Oblivion crisis. He knows the Oblivion gate needs to be shut in order to fix this problem. But he doesn't go in there with his men or anything like that. He sent a couple of guys in there, and they haven't come back. And he manipulates you into going into battle instead of him. Now, you're not battle trained at this point. You're certainly not in his military or anything. But you go do it. You're doing his work, and he's getting the glory for it. When you come out, he tells you the whole city of Kavach is overrun by all sorts of evil critters and everything. And he recruits you without an oath, without payment, or anything like that, to go into the city and deal with these things. Finds out that the castle gate is locked. You got to do all of these other things without him to unlock the castle gates. Then he comes in. There's a little battle in the courtyard of the castle, and then he tells you, and remember, you don't work for him, you're not part of his military, and you're not militarily trained, but he tells you to go in and bring the count out. Now, he knows how dangerous this is going to be. In fact, before he even sends you into the Oblivion Gate earlier, he says, it will likely mean your death. So, these people expect us to put our lives on the line to carry out their errands, things they're unwilling to do. When you get inside the castle, Mattias isn't charging ahead, the hero, using his military might and his soldiers and all of that to go get the count. No, he sends you to do it. You, a stranger he's just met, that he's manipulated into putting your life on the line several times already. So he sends you to do it. The people, the NPCs, the non-player characters in role-playing games are lazy drunkards. None of them have any right to order you to do anything, so they manipulate you into it instead. The one person in these games that might have the legal right to order you around would be, of course, the Emperor at the beginning of the Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion remastered. See, you thought I would never get back to the game that this podcast is really about. But if he is indeed your emperor and you are a citizen of Tamriel, then he probably would have the legal right to order you around, and he never does it. The closest he gets to ordering you around is he asks you to take the amulet at Malakim to Jeffrey. at Wayne and Priory. He doesn't order you to. By now, he's done manipulating you. He wants to do what I do, in fact. His last words are, close shut the flaws of Oblivion, which is what I'm trying to do, actually. I'm trying to get Oblivion remastered to run stably so that I can continue on with my podcast series. And because I'm going to have to start a new character, it's going to be season 2. So season 1 only got 3 or 4 episodes. It's kind of like some of those horrible Netflix series. If I can create a stable gaming environment that actually launches and works and I can do all of the stuff, I plan to take my next character all the way through the game, all the way through the main quest, the side quests, all of that. But understand, I plan that every time I start a character. And for the tens of thousands of, well, I don't know, tens of thousands, but of the at least hundreds of times I've started a new character in these games, I've only completed the main quest maybe a dozen or so. And there's a lot of reasons for it. I like starting role-playing games a lot more than I like finishing them. And that doesn't mean that the main quest isn't good or that it doesn't have a, an impactful ending or things like that. Many times they do. I remember how blown away I was the first time I completed the main quest of Skyrim. It was just so good and exciting. But what's also exciting, at least for me, is to start a game with no background, no information. I can write whatever backstory I want for my character. My character doesn't have the greatest armor. My character doesn't have the skills. My character doesn't have the weapons. My character, if I'm on the right difficulty level, should really run from a fight. And he or she usually does. In fact, this happens so often when I start a new game that the class that I play in, if I get to create my own class, it's always the coward class. And you're asking yourself, what is the coward class? Which that's not going to help because I invented the coward class. So asking yourself isn't really going to do anything to answer the question. But if you were to ask me, what is the coward class? Well, in this game, we're always cast as the hero. And in the trailers, you see people sword fighting or maybe going toe to toe with like a rusty dagger or something like that. In your face fighting. A coward does not fight in your face. He doesn't go toe to toe with you. What he does is he stays as far away from you as possible, but you have to be within the range of his fireball or his, shock spell or his water spell or, his freezing spell, whatever. So he sees you with that big war axe. And he's smart enough to know, wow, if that enemy gets close enough to me, they're going to chop my head in two with that war axe. What can I do about this? I can keep the enemy so far away from me that no matter how much he swings the war axe, it's not going to do any good. It's not going to hurt me because I'm not going to let him get that close. And in the Elder Scrolls, this would be more of a, uh, I think, a battle mage. I just, I just call it a coward. So I'm not as familiar. So just so you get it, I have played the games with every fighting style, every species, every background, and all that. And that's one of the reasons I know what I like best. So if you're playing the Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion remastered, for instance, if you're of the coward class, and by the way, it's not baked into the game. So you can create a custom class in Oblivion remastered, and it doesn't save it. I mean, it saves it for that character in that playthrough. But when you start a new character, the coward class doesn't exist, so you have to actually create it. So when I create the coward class, its specialties are personality and luck. And then the major skills are destruction, because you can fling, fire at people from a ways off. Restoration. So if you do get hurt. Sneak. I sneak around all these game worlds, especially in Bethesda games, because in most of the Bethesda games, you actually gain more skill in each of these sections by using it. That's why you see people jumping around instead of walking. They're trying to build up their acrobatic skill in Oblivion. So there are quests that are best done by somebody with a 100 sneak. Now you can train your sneak by going to the right trainers. Costs a lot of money, and most trainers don't have enough skill to actually get you there. If you sneak around everywhere instead of riding horses and things like that, you'll build up your sneak skill. So let's see. Alchemy. So we're talking destruction, restoration, alchemy, sneak, mercantile, and speechcraft. Those are the major skills of the coward class. And you're welcome to create the coward class. I would hope sometime in the future, but I don't think this is going to happen. If it does happen, it'll probably be somebody modding the game that makes it happen. I don't think Bethesda or Virtuos are ever going to add it to the Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion remastered, but I think they should. When you create a custom class, you should be able to save it forever, so that when you start a game all over again, it's right there in the list along with all the classes you didn't create. But they never done that. This game came out in 2006, and now it's 2026, so almost 20 years later. They either didn't think about that, or worse yet, if they thought about it, they decided on purpose not to do it. So every time I start a new character, when we get to that part where Boris assumes that we're a pilgrim or whatever he assumes we are, and we tell him what class we are, I always create the coward class, and I always do it from memory. Now here's my plan. What do you think of it? Oh, you want to hear it first? Okay, that always ruins people's enthusiasm about my plans, having to hear it first. But this is the plan. This is like bonus material. I'm going to upload it to YouTube. I don't think it should get any strikes. I mean, I paid for this content. They allow their gaming content to be used in our videos as long as we add something to it. And obviously, I'm adding my excellent theories, proven scientifically with evidence. Then, when I get the game stable again, which I will, I always do. I should mention, by the way, some of the instability in Oblivion Remastered are bugs that are in the game as it launched that have not been patched out. Some of it is having put much of the game in a different gaming engine, which would be Unreal. Is it Unreal 5? I think it's Unreal 5. And some of it could be the mods that I've added. So I have greatly cut back the size of my mod list and all of that. The reason I'm not sure that all of this, there's a couple of reasons I'm not sure all of this was caused by mods. One is I just tried to run the game again before I uninstalled it. I just tried to run it again without any mods, and it still didn't go to the character creation screen. So that means there's something in vanilla Skyrim, Oblivion. Vanilla meaning unmodded, that is messing up. So I could have gone through, dozens of hours or more of taking out one mod, testing it, taking out another mod, testing it, and all of that. And it turns out I would have wound up where I was anyway because it wasn't the mods. In the end, it wasn't the mods that were messing it up. I could not start a new game with the vanilla Oblivion Remastered. So I did the nuclear option, and I uninstalled the game completely. I uninstalled the directories with the game saves in it. I uninstalled the initialization files. Everything that had to do with this game, I uninstalled from my computer, knowing that I was about to reinstall it and I needed a fresh install in order to get back on track. A lot of times, about half the duration of playing a game, if it's moddable and as moddable as the Bethesda games are, is just finding mods, downloading them, installing them, and then trying to come up with a mod profile that lets those mods play together, because there's clearly some mods that will conflict with one another. And depending on how bad the conflict is, you may not even be able to run the game that way. So a significant amount of my time has been adding mods to these games and testing them and getting that perfect balance. So this time, before I found out it wouldn't run no matter what mods I had or didn't have, I went in and got rid of like 100 mods. I think I have 244 left or something. And I know there's a mod limit of 255. There's ways to get around it because not all mods are created equally. Certain mods that, for instance, just change the way a particular set of armor looks or something like that might not be using one of those 255 slots. And I have 64 gigabytes of RAM in my computer, 12 gigabytes of RAM in my video card. I have a very fast, one of the best central processing units known to man. I've got a really, really great computer setup. It should run this game easily. The game is installed on an SSD. I have two SSDs, and then all the rest of my 100 plus terabytes of storage is hard drive space. But this is installed on an SSD. It should be working great. Something has corrupted it, and so it's not. And so I went through and made some very painful choices to remove some mods that I really, really like, because if something's going on with the mods where I can't even play the game, then it doesn't matter what mods I have, does it? So I got rid of the ones I felt I could get rid of. But in the end, since that didn't solve anything, and since getting rid of all the mods didn't solve anything, I had to go nuclear. So when the game's installed again, I will run it without any mods. And then when I add mods, I will add them in test, and all of that. So the plan, I know I started saying, so the plan, like 10 minutes ago or so. And I don't know if anybody's still watching this, but in case you are, the plan is to go with that much fewer mods, play the game, show you how the game is played, how I love to play it, show you the action, the quests, the landscapes, the interiors, the weather, the guilds, the main quest, all of it. And I'll be utilizing some mods that make things a little better, expecting it to be stable. I'm going to do everything to test to make it stable. And during this, I will show you the evidence and explain it to you again. The evidence that Boris is not innocent. All the Blades may be involved in the Emperor's murder, but we know Boris is, and I will show you that evidence in the game. And I will show you evidence that the quest givers are just lazy bums that don't want to do stuff that they could do or they could hire somebody to do. You're not special. I'm not special. My character isn't special. My character is just somebody who woke up in an Imperial City prison one day, wondering why I was there. Had I done anything wrong or not done anything wrong? And then thrown into all this manipulation so that I will do what people want me to do because they're too lazy to do it themselves. I point out that there's no reason to trust me. I'm a stranger on the internet, and in the games, I'm a stranger in the games. Strangers should not be trusting me with their PFHs, their precious family heirlooms. By the way, if I was ever in a rock band, I think I would either name the band Precious Family Heirloom because of this legacy, or I'd at least name one of the albums Precious Family Heirloom. It's such a good trope in these games. Now, I want to do all of this in the next 6 weeks or so, and the reason why is because the wrestling game WWE 2K26,000 is coming out. It's either the 7th or the 12th of March. And I'm recording this on the 9th of February. So the Super Bowl was yesterday and all that. I'd like to get in a whole bunch of Oblivion remastered gameplay, podcasts, and all of that before the other game launches, because it's going to take a lot of my time to build the rosters, build up characters that are worth seeing fight, and all of that. Now, understand, I don't completely abandon a game and then go to another one. So I'll still be doing some Oblivion stuff, even in between some of the wrestling stuff. As I've said many times, I've got over 3,900 games installed on this system, and I try to do a good mixture of them. I have what I would call my Mount Rushmore, and my Mount Rushmore would be things like Oblivion Remastered, WWE 2K 25,000, Starfield, Planet Coaster 2000. So the ones that I will constantly be going back to do videos of those, and then I have everything else, and I try and do as good of a variety of them as possible to show you what PC gaming is like, and so that we can enjoy it together. And I try to handle new stuff as much as possible as well. New games, on the day they're released, I try and release a video of them showing what the gameplay is like. Now, I don't obviously get all the new releases. In the amount of time I've had this channel, which is over 11 months, but not quite a year yet, I've only gotten one game free. And I didn't do this to get free games. I'm just saying, I'm a poor guy, 63 years old, poorly aging, sarcastic. And so I can't afford all the new games, nor would I have time to play them. I think when the channel is built up, and, you know, if it has 50,000 subscribers or 100,000 or 1.2 million or something like that, game companies might give me the codes to play some of their games for free. That's not why I got into this or anything like that. I'm just saying the new games that I buy are games that I'm interested in. And I try and show you why I'm interested in them. And when my stalwarts, my Mount Rushmore games, when they put out new patches, new content, things like that, I try to show them as much as possible. So the Elder Scrolls Online updates fairly often. I try and show videos of those changes. When they were doing patches for this one, Oblivion Remastered, I was playing the patched versions. So I try and do all of that. I invite you along on the journey. If you'd like to see the Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion Remastered from beginning to end, as much content as I could possibly do, please subscribe. You can also help boost this video by leaving non-threatening, non-profane comments below. That lets YouTube know that you're engaging with the videos I have here. You can give it a thumbs up. You can share the link in social media. All of those things helps tell YouTube that you're engaged with the material and that they should make that material available to more people so that they can test it out and see what they think. I am very grateful for anybody who watches any of these things on my channel, whether they subscribe or don't. It's just subscribing really helps. So, this little talk of ours has gone on 75 minutes now. I don't know if anybody's still listening. If you are, hey, thank you very much. Usually it's gameplay videos and you don't get this much rambling. I am your poorly aging sarcastic PC Witty gamer. This is YouTube's poorly aging sarcastic PC Witty gamer channel where you're falling in love in stereo.